One of the most common mistakes that I see on the forehand is not turning the shoulders enough. A lot of players think that this is a fully turned shoulder, but it's actually not. So if I hit the ball and my shoulder is only perpendicular to the net, I'm not maximizing the power that I can get on the shot. So here I'm not fully turned with my shoulder, whereas watch the difference on this one where my shoulder actually gets past perpendicular before I start my swing. So it's not getting to here, but it's getting to here. You can see part of my back before I start my swing. A good example I like to use for feeling the shoulder turn is throwing a basketball, soccer ball, medicine ball with two hands. In order for me to throw it and get a lot of power, I actually have to turn my shoulder past this point. If I turn it to here, I'm gonna get a lot of power, but if I throw it from right here, it's gonna be a very weak throw compared to if I get my shoulder turned all the way. So I turn all the way, you can see my back, and I throw from low to high with two hands. Same thing if I'm right-handed, I need to turn my left shoulder past 90 degrees. So this is not good enough. Notice where the ball is, I'm not gonna have a lot of power here, versus this is where I'm gonna really maximize my power on my swing. So the best way to practice turning your shoulders is to actually hit two-handed forehands for a little while. So I'm gonna crisscross my hands. If I'm left-handed, I'm putting my right hand on top. Right-handed, I'm putting my left hand on top. And just nice and easy, hitting the ball with two hands will cause you to turn this front shoulder all the way. Again. So if I hit with one hand, often what happens is I just take the racket back with my arm only, but if I hit with two and I keep that second hand on there, it's forcing me to turn my shoulder in order to get that paddle back far enough. If I'm right-handed, same thing. Crisscross my hands, turning my left shoulder all the way. When you get this feeling of turning your shoulder ends up almost on your chin as you're turning. And then to progress from that, start turning with two hands on the paddle and then hitting with one hand. So I'm keeping this top hand on there until I've got my shoulders into that fully turned position, and then I'm letting go and swinging. Again, that shoulder ends up near my chin. Again, that shoulder ends up near my chin. My back is slightly facing the net before I start my swing. Here's right-handed, same thing, turn with two and swing with one. Turn with two and swing with one. Another thing you might start noticing is your non-hitting arm, after you've turned, goes out to the side instead of out in front of you. And that's a sign that you've turned your shoulder. So the non-hitting arm's actually here. When I start my swing, that non-hitting arm moves out of the way. Then if I want to make my swing a little more advanced, a little more complex, I'll do a loop. But the main thing about the loop is that you need to make sure it incorporates a shoulder turn. So if I just loop my paddle back, that's not very beneficial to me. If I combine that with a shoulder turn, so I keep this hand on here, now that's beneficial to me. I'm doing that loop, I'm turning my shoulders at the same time. So notice how long that non-hitting hand is staying on the paddle, and that's forcing me to turn my shoulders without thinking about it. Same thing right-handed, if I do a loop, I keep my left hand on the paddle until my shoulders are turned, then I'm letting go with that left hand and uncoiling all that energy that I just created. So I didn't turn my shoulders all the way here because my shoulder is perpendicular to the net, versus this one where I'm getting that little bit of extra turn. So my chin is actually touching my front shoulder as it's going back because it's turning so much. My eyes are in front of me because I'm tracking that incoming ball. And so from a back view, if I turn like this, my shoulder's not all the way turned. If I can turn like this, where my back is actually facing towards the incoming ball a little bit, the shoulder turns a little bit extra, that's a fully turned shoulder position.